All right, hello everybody. So we are back. We're going to talk a little bit about Victor today. So we did Reina, and according to the popularity thing that they put out, Reina is number one. But Victor's not that far behind, and there's a lot of complaining that's happening with him. He's actually on the short list for a lot of people for best character in the game. I don't know if I'm going to maintain that opinion or hold that opinion. I just think there's too much that we haven't seen yet. But I do think he's strong in a lot of ways, but I feel like a lot of it is just unfamiliarity. He's brand new, and his move list is, for the most part, brand new. Like with Reina, that Mishima stuff kind of feels familiar. So even though it's really strong, it's one of those things where you still feel like at some point you can get a grasp on it. With Victor, it's very different. So a couple days late on this. I was hoping to have more quiet time in the house than I actually ended up having, but that's okay. We're here. We're gonna get it done. So I'm gonna go kind of in a weird order, at least relative to the Reina video that we did, because I think what's probably messing up a lot of people is his strings. And again, it just goes back to that familiarity thing. He actually plays, in my opinion, like a more traditional style of Tekken, and what really differentiates him, the big thing that differentiates him is he just has like a lot of weapon attacks, but he's really trying to play that single hit style of Tekken, and then the strings are just there to confuse you or to catch counter hits or whatever. So a couple examples of this. So he has like the standard Mishima 1-1-2, so you can confirm that. But 1-2-1, if people are really challenging your jabs, you can do this. It's a counter hit launcher, but it's -12 on block. 2-2-2, this is probably one that people see a lot. It's a 12 frame start, so it is fast. And because the weapon attack, there's no parry that can be there. It is all a natural combo and goes into his stance. So if he hits you with this and he goes into EI, he's at advantage, and now you're kind of in the blender. The thing is, and a lot of people have been comparing this to Noctis, I don't think he's anywhere close to as good as Noctis was. But 2-2, his 2-2 is unsafe at -12, and then the last hit is a high, so you can duck that. And because he goes into stance, you have a ton of time. Like whoops, why is he doing that? Like he can't block in stance. He has the low parry thing, but he can't, if you just duck and then punish him. So you have a ton of time to duck that gun and then launch him for it. And if they're trying to confirm this, which you can do, if you do 2-2 and then you see any of that hit, you can tap 2 again and finish the string. If they're doing that, then they're giving you a 12 frame punish every time that they do that. So that's there are holes, in that string. I think that's probably one of the strings that catch people a lot. 4-3, I actually really like this string. It does a ton of damage. The kick is really fast. It's a 13 frame start, but it is jab punishable. And the last hit, which is there to try to catch buttons, -13. If that second hit connects counter hit, it does a ton of damage, 45 damage. And if you're at the wall, it's going to splat. That second kick has huge range, which is a large reason for why I like this string, because it just that second kick just hits so far, which in general range is not an issue for Victor. He has a lot of range on a lot of his moves. Again, not quite to the Noctis level, but very, very good range. However, like I just said, like both these second and third hits are punishable on block. The nice thing though is if your opponent is trying to duck the second hit of your strings for some weird reason, I don't know why you would do that with Victor, because like 2-2 is a mid into, or a high into mids, and this is the same deal, a high into mids. But if they are trying to do that against your strings, then this is going to be a good option. Forward 4, decent range and speed, 14 frames, but again, that classic style where it ends with a high that you can duck, or there's an unsafe mid option. The high option, this is actually a heat engager, so if you're really hunting for a heat engager, I don't think this is even remotely close to his best heat engager, but if you're doing that string pressure, then at least if you hit that, you'll get the engager. Both of these are natural combos, so again, that classic string. Down forward 4-3, along with down back 1-1, you'll probably see the most often, I would think, because both of these are safe. Down forward 3-4 is only a combo on counter hit, and 4 being a counter hit, it doesn't do a ton of damage, but you know, it's there. The last hit, it is safe, but it's interruptible. It will never combo with that second hit, so you never get that for free. It's just, I don't know, just kind of there, I guess. Down back 1-1, very, very low reward, but it is a safe mid-mid, and I think a lot of Victor players will use this just so they can get into the stance because of the stance transition. Which similarly, back 1, same kind of deal, very much not safe, but it does have, you know, that has that second hit mid-high sort of deal, not a natural combo, but a lot of Victors will use it as a quick entry into the Perfumer stance, which I'm just going to call Perf. But so two stance transition options off of relatively safe stuff that you'll see a lot, but I don't think you have to really fear these strings because they're not a ton of reward, right? Less than 20 damage on this. In order to even get above 20 damage for down forward 3-4, you have to get the counter hit. So I don't think you really have to fear that kind of stuff. But those strings, though, like all of his strings are like that. There's some sort of hole where you can duck or you can block punish. So it's just about getting into practice mode or playing against him a lot. Excuse me, and getting familiarity with those animations. What I think, in my opinion, the best way to play him is just to look for these single like big hits and just poke around until you can find those. So the 1+2 series is really good. Back 1+2 might be the best armor move in the game. 15 frames, which is just insanely fast. Ridiculous range on it, and it's a heat engager. So it just kind of has everything going for it. It is a high, so you can't duck it, but because he has so many strong mids, I don't know if you really have to worry about that too much. Forward 1+2, again, weapon attack, crazy range, safe on block, mid, and a heat engager. So that has a lot going for it. Down 2 is very similar, not quite as much range as those other two moves, but it has enough. Safe, mid, actually on block, it gives you a better situation than either of those other two moves because it's only 0. It puts you at this perfect spacing where if they try to swing back at you, there are so many setups or you could just do like a simple backdash or sidestep and get away from pretty much everything. 1+2, if you're not going to build a game plan around back 1+2, then I would suggest 1+2. Again, safe, mid, has way more range than it has any right to have, and it is a counter hit function. So you get big damage if you nab that counter hit. You'll see this a lot because it's cheesy. It's so cheesy. And then outside of that, and we'll talk about the stance stuff here in a minute. You know, it's a lot about just the simple poke game. So he has a 13 frame mid, down forward 1, which does have a string option, which again, kind of going back to the string stuff, you can duck that, but does a nice chunk of damage if you manage to hit it. And it's just, you know, you can just do the first hit, obviously. The low stuff, so down 4, just a little low poke, but if you nab the counter hit, it's going to do a nice chunk of damage and set, you know, nice spacing to set up for an Oki follow-up. And this hits grounded too, by the way, so just to add to the list of stuff that forward 1+2 does. Down back 4 is one that you'll see a lot, so I guess I should pause and say that Victor is not like a heavy mix-up character, at least outside of his stance. He's more his lows are just about frustrating you and just being annoying and forcing you to do something about it, which is, you know, kind of leads into this big hit style where if someone's swinging back at you, then they're giving you opportunities to you know, nab these counter hits or these big whiff punishes. So just wanted to note that real quick. So down back 4, almost a carbon copy of Lars. Lars down back 4, relatively quick, I guess, for what it is, but high crushes, does okay damage on its own, but it's the counter hit that most people are looking for because it starts your juggle off, so you have that. But even on normal hit, +4, so you have some options afterwards because they're not going to be able to beat just a wall standing 4 after that. However, you know, his full crouch while standing stuff isn't that bad. So he has a full crouch 1+2. This is his most damaging low from neutral. 20 damage, which isn't terrible. You know, you'd like to see more than 0 on on hit, but I guess it's not the worst thing in the world. Very risky, you know, if they block it. That second hit will whiff, so they can launch you for it. But like after a down back 4, if you do that, obviously the computer is blocking it. But you know, you can get 17 damage, plus you hit that low for another 20, and you know you're almost at 40 with 2 basically pokes. And then if they start ducking, that, then you do while standing 1+2, which is a safe mid. It's his 13 frame punish, but that is almost 30 damage. So that's, you know, that's really good. Otherwise, down 1, he does not have a crouch jab, so this is why all these high crushes are really important. He has a down 1/1, not a lot of damage unless you get the counter hit, because you need that second hit. So 23 damage, which isn't terrible, that's decent. But that first hit only does 7 damage. It does jail though, so if it hits, they cannot duck that second hit. Otherwise, you got to be careful, because then the second hit can, if they block it, you know, they can stay down and launch you for it. But again, it's another one of those things where, or just kind of going back to that theme, where if you know Victor, if you're familiar with him, if you're ready for these moves, you can punish him very, very hard for a lot of this stuff. So I just want to keep mentioning that, because a lot of people are struggling with him. I know he's a strong character, but you just kind of have to keep that in mind. As you get familiar with him, as he becomes less and less new, you'll become less and less scared of him. Which, on that note, you know, down forward 3 is a string I forgot to mention, because I think this one is getting abused a lot. But this is a natural combo, 30 damage, gives him advantage going into stance. But again, that gun, you can duck that. So it just kind of fits that theme. One thing that's really good that a lot of people may not, well, unless you're a Raven player, you probably didn't notice, but they gave him, he essentially has Raven's while standing 2 elbow. His is the knife, obviously, but counter hit launch, safe, very fast at 14 frames. So it's another thing that you can do after the down back 4. But yeah, I think that's it really for his neutral. Oh, I guess the one thing I don't think I mentioned yet was running 2. So really powerful, 30 damage, will give you the wall splat, but it's also +5 on block. So very easy way to get in, and hits like a truck. So you'll see Victors do that a lot. But otherwise, the only really thing to go over that's left is his stances. But this kind of goes back to the same thing that I was talking about with the strings, where I think it's just people's unfamiliarity with how his stances work. So like if you take down forward 4-2 as an example, probably really common way for people to hit, for Victors to hit you and then go into stance. He's at +4, but the only thing that will beat you if you try to challenge it is the EI1, so which is 13 frames. The next closest in terms of speed is this, which is 16 frames. So if you wanted to challenge him, you could, but like all of this stuff, this is not safe. -12. If you do the second hit, which he can also do as just a up forward 1/1, -14 off of that. The other option is this string, which of course he didn't block it, but all of these hits are punishable wherever he decides to stop on it. So there's that. What else? This is safe, the sword, but again, it's slow, so you can challenge that if you want to. He has a power crush, but that is unsafe, so -14. What else? He has a stomp. This stomp is actually pretty good, does the same damage as down back 4, and it has a high follow-up, which you can duck unless the stomp hits, so the stomp jails. So that's pretty good. It is a natural combo on counter hit, so if he catches you, if he's in a situation where he can catch you swinging, that's going to do a nice chunk of damage. But the low, of course, is punishable, -13, and if you stay down there and he does the high, then you can launch the high. 1+2 is actually plus on block. However, that's a high, so you can duck that. The main mix-up is the sword, the ground stab, which is actually +1. Yeah, +1 on block, and then he has a health streak from it. So That's the main mix-up that he's going for, but both of these are pretty slow. Like that's a 20 frame startup, 20 frame startup, 23 on that ground stab. So you can challenge that stuff and force him to make a decision to like do this riskier stuff with the EI1 with the handle butt or whatever you want to call it. Because all of this stuff is punishable. So and then that's it. That's all he has. The only other thing he has out of stance is if you press forward, he can do a low parry, or it will do a low parry. But so that's the mix-up. So it's very simple, but again, it's one of those things where I feel like as you develop familiarity with Victor, this will become a lot less scary. So yeah, and then his Perfumer, which is this forward 3 thing, kind of the opposite, but not nearly as much reward. So almost everything from this stance is safe. So this is probably the only thing that's not safe, -13. But it is a low, so that makes sense. It is still good though. Does a nice chunk of damage, high crushes, +4. Leaves him in crouch, so again that same situation is down back 4, so something to think about. The 2-string from his Perfumer is safe, so he can do that which goes into stance of course, but he has enders to that, so that's safe. This is the only the mid ender for that string I think is the only other thing that's unsafe from that stance. He's got a mid kick, so a heat engager, but again that's safe on block. Let's see. This. So this, I guess we should talk about homing moves real quick. It's the same move as his back 4. Pretty decent homing attack in the sense that if you hit counter hit, you get a free forward 4-1. So nice chunk of damage, plus you get the heat engager. So he has that exact move from his Perfumer stance. And then 1+2, which is this big overhead, the gun thing, which is actually plus on block, if I can get him to block. +4, but it's really slow, right? And that's it. That's all that he can do from this. So I think what ends up happening is that, again, that familiarity aspect where people just aren't used to this stuff, so they see something like down back 1-1 and goes 2-2, and all of a sudden he's in the other stance, and there's just a lot coming at you that you're not familiar with because you've never seen the character before, and it's just not as scary as as you might think. Now again, if he hits you, he hits like a truck. So if he does get any of these mix-ups off or anything, then they are gonna hurt. But I think that's ultimately what is like driving the Victor is broken crowd, is that they're just not used to stuff yet, so they don't know how to counter it. I do still think he's really strong. Like these overheads, back 1+2, forward 1+2, like that stuff is really good. And what else? Did we miss anything? Oh, heat. I guess we can talk about heat a little bit. So his heat is pretty simple. He gains this new move, this big sword move, which is really cool. Safe, big damage, gives a knockdown, but obviously it takes some of your bar. Up 1+2, so this is normally launch punishable, but it does a ton of damage, and it gets this like little shockwave thing, and it becomes safe when he does it in heat. Also, his the ground stab when he's in EI, this gets a lot better, does more damage, gives more plus frames on block. If you do happen to hit with a sword move, it gives you back your meter, a little bit of meter. So pretty simple though in terms of his heat system. I think the only thing left really to talk about is like his punishing, which is pretty good. Like I mentioned earlier, he has the Mishima 112. You can use this 2-string as an alt for 12 frames. Down for the knee into the gun, that's 13 frames, so only a little bit slower. At 14 frames is when you start to get your heat engager. So he does have a heat engager punish at 14 frames, which is good. But at 15 frames, that's when he starts launching. So he gets his down forward 2, or he has a hop kick as well. While standing 4 is pretty standard. But we talked about while standing 1-2. I think this is a really good move. +8, almost 30 damage, safe, mid. So you can't discount that. But he also has a 15 frame, at 15 frames he has a while standing launcher, or you can do his hot kick, so whichever one. With punishers, A little bit different though, because kind of goes back to some moves we already talked about. While standing, or back 1+4. I don't know why I said while standing. Back 1+4 is a great whip punisher, just because it's so fast, but great range as well. Back 3-1 is another one. Almost 40 damage will splat if you land that. If you're out here, again, not quite as good as Noctis. I know a lot of people like to compare him to Noctis, but 4-4-2. If they're really messing around out here at range, then you can nab that. And how far it'll go is just how much you want to hold that second forward. But really quick, for a ranged launcher. So always something to watch out for. But I think that's really it. So like his his stance stuff can be scary, because if you keep eating this Hell Sweep, that's 30 damage into Oki. Same with this little stomp. Like this stomp is I mean, that's not nothing. If you hit 2 of these, you have done as much more damage actually than the Hell Sweep. So this little stomp is really good, plus it gives him advantage on hit. It's just all about knowing, where these punish opportunities are and where these defensive opportunities are that make him seem less scary. But the stances aren't super extensive, right? Like there's only basically a move for every button with both of these. So that's Victor. I think he is strong. Like I said, I feel like the best way to play him is with that single hit style. And then when you do get an opportunity, probably from a punish, like from here, then you can start doing your mix-ups. But he's not a mix-up character really from neutral. It's all about like just poking, moving around, trying to land one of these quicker big moves or these rangy overheads, whatever. And then if you can get these counter hits, once you start to annoy them to the point where they're just hitting buttons at weird times and being stupid about it, then you can get the big counter hit damage. But I think that he will start to mellow out as people become familiar with him. So just hang in there, hit practice mode. If you're trying to play him, you can just play him real simple. And then, when you can, be annoying with the stance stuff. But I should mention too, he doesn't really have much of a grab game, but people are saying that the break window on his normal grabs is smaller than normal. So that's something to consider as well. You can just do his normals, and they should be harder to break. So something to throw in there for the mixed game. But that's all I have, guys. Again, this is just kind of early impressions overview. We'll get a proper guide out there for him, because I'm sure there's a lot more stuff maybe I missed or that people will discover. So just hit up the practice mode, keep going, and I'll try to have more videos out this week. I was hoping to have more time this weekend, and it just didn't happen. So we'll get more stuff out. So stay tuned, people. Obviously, big thanks to all the patrons and everybody, all the YouTube subscribers. Thank you guys for all supporting. We appreciate you, and we will be back next time.